May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott, your host, and a man who really, really knows his gender pronouns and isn't afraid to use them either. Speaking to someone who always knows which bathroom to use, and it's usually the one that's empty, producer Paul B isn't here with us in the studio, of course. He's out there somewhere like a guardian angel, like a bodiless, soulless, not soulless, but bodiless voice, like Charlie from Charlie's Angels, or Charlie from Charles in Charge. Same kind of thing, right? And he's ready to produce the literal crap out of this podcast episode. It's going to be great. We love you, Paul, and we miss having you in the studio to talk back and forth. But that really actually wouldn't work because I'm just basically recording it and then sending it to you to produce later. So, yay, who am I? What do I do? And how do you reach me? So I run a moderately successful public relations and marketing company in Orange County, California. I've done that for a long time now, and I'm also a certified story brand guide. So I create brand stories, website wireframes, sales copy, and PR. I always kind of say when marketing is broken, I fix it. And there's lots of marketing that's broken. There's lots of marketing that is just garbage. And we're talking about episode 173 of the program here, and I call this one "Let's Make Things Interesting." One of my gifts, I think, throughout my entire life has been I've been able to take things that other people don't find interesting and make them interesting. And one of the I use some very specific ways to do that. Marketing is certainly about that. The currency of marketing is about how interesting we can make something, right? These days, it is absolutely imperative because human attention spans, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but they are shrinking. They're shrinking like George Costanza coming out of the cold water in Seinfeld. And in fact, a new study by Microsoft says that humans now have less of an attention span than a common goldfish. So the goldfish has an 8-second attention span, and humans now have a 7-second attention span. 7 seconds, right? I mean, or the goldfish has 7. Sorry, I got that wrong. 7-second attention span for the goldfish, and humans have an 8-second, attention span. So 8 seconds and you lose them, right? I mean, you ever been on a Zoom call and it's like, you got 8 seconds, and then they're off. They're either thinking about something else or they're literally looking at something else, and they're just gone. So, you got to make the most of that time in marketing. We talk about that a lot on this show over the years. And like I said, I like to make things interesting. So I'm going to give you some tips really on this quick episode of the show that help make things interesting. So number one tip is decide to tell them a story, not to just sell whatever it is that you're selling. If you're truly interested in the relationship, and you should be. That's really kind of the goal of all marketing is not really to sell stuff, but to develop relationships where then it's comfortable for people to buy stuff from you because you're solving their problems. You want to tell them a story, and it's got to be a good story, right? So that brings us to number 2. Start your story with their problem. It sounds easy. It sounds obvious. I have all kinds of people tell me all the time, "Hey, Scott, that sounds really easy. That sounds really obvious." It sure does. It sure does sound that way. However, I can't tell you how many conversations, how many websites I go to, how many one sheets I look at, how many social posts I review, and they suck. Why do they suck? Because they do not do this simple freaking thing of starting the story with their problem. In StoryBrand, we always say, look, the problem is the hook. The minute you stop talking about their problems, they're gone. Remember the goldfish attention span thing, right? So it's really, really important to talk about their problem and talk about different levels of their problem. In StoryBrand, as we've discussed several times on this show, we talk about the external problem, the problem that they can see, oh, my company's not going to be in compliance with cybersecurity. The internal problem, which is, well, that's really going to make me frustrated. And that also I could lose my house if I get that wrong. And that's definitely true. And then obviously the philosophical problem, which is just like, why can't this be easier for me? Why should this be so hard? Shouldn't this be? The philosophical problem always has a should or an ought to in it. And so it's really, really important to use those levels of problems. And you want to start with their problem. And what I mean by that is you don't want to, somebody sent me an email to review the other day and it says, hi, thanks, I hope you're well, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Start with their problem. Within the first couple of words, you better be talking about their problem, or you're talking to a goldfish that's off looking at something else. You better believe it. So really, really important to start with their problem. Tip number 3, make sure it's clear how you're solving that problem for them better than anybody else that they can find, right? Make sure you clearly show how you can make that go away. Really, really important. And then in StoryBrand, we'll cap that off by talking about, how easy the plan is. It's a 3-step plan. And then we will show them what a vision of success looks like if they decide to go with what we're doing. And then we show them what failure looks like. And don't be afraid to use failure. A lot of people ask me all the time, they say, well, Scott, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be too negative. Bull crap. You know what? The reason that people pay taxes on April 15th is because the IRS will penalize your butt into the dirt if you don't. If there wasn't a deadline, you wouldn't do anything in this world. So don't even fool yourself into that. It's not being negative. You're just echoing what they're already kind of thinking about them in their own minds. And you're actually a lot more alignment with how they're thinking. You don't sell anything with rainbows and puppies, folks. You're gonna have to get dirty on this. It's really, really important to know that. I'm sorry if I have to be the one to tell you that, but all that fluffy marketing and crap that gets skipped over, that gets deleted. That's a bunch of garbage. It's not going to mean anything to anybody. You have got to put some threats out there. You've got to remind people that there are consequences if they don't do business with you. Otherwise, they're never going to do business with you because they're friggin' people. We could do a whole episode on that, just so you know. So make sure it's clear how you solve that problem. Number 4, when people are ready to engage with you, don't hide the cash register, right? Make it simple for them. Don't make them work when they're trying to give you money. I go to websites, it's like, contact us, learn more, contact this. Oh, let's make people fill out a web form and register. What are you doing? You remember the goldfish story? Remember the 8 seconds, right? Do you think people have the wherewithal if they're just barely thinking about engaging with you and they're getting ready to give you money? You want to make them work harder for it? That ain't going to work out for you. Make it easy. Think through that process. How do we make this dead set easy for them? If you're running a consulting business like me, you click on my website, one place, it sends an email to me, and then I take over, and then I'll get back in touch with you and that kind of thing. I make it easy for people. I don't make people fill out web forms and do all that bull crap. None of that is going to, and I've had website developers with a straight face come back to me and go, well, Scott, if we don't do that, then it's really hard for us because we put our email address out there and, spider bots get it and we get more spam. Tough crap. Get a spam filter. Figure out your problems on your time. The customer doesn't have time to figure out your problems. Make it easy for them. That's how you win. You want to lose? Do it your way. That's what I'm saying. So tip number 5, be human and have fun. The best marketing out there is fun, and fun is always more interesting than bland. I mean, if you're not a fun person, and not everyone is, and people will tell you if you're not fun or not, then you just ask them, but hire somebody that is fun to do your marketing for you. It truly amazes me, when I meet people in the professional world and they aren't interested at all of what they do for a living. As a marketer, I will tell you, you don't have that luxury. If you're not interested, no one will be. And you're in competition with their attention span and every other competitor on the planet. So you better get it straight and you better figure out how to be interesting. I can make any business interesting to their target customer by following the basic story rules that we just been talking about and getting to the point quickly. And I've had people challenge me on this before, so I'll give you a few of them that I've gotten back. People have said, well, Scott, accounting's not very interesting. I'll tell you what, my accountant a few years ago didn't file my corporate taxes for 2 years in a row and didn't tell me. And I found out when the IRS let me know that I owed a bunch of back penalties and a bunch of stuff. Now, that's not a call that you want to get. I will guarantee you that. And so accounting is very interesting to me now. Maybe it wasn't before then. It's very interesting to me now because I run a business and I need to know what the numbers say and I need to know what's going on with the taxes, this kind of thing. Why? Because there's a penalty for failing. How do I know that? Well, I could share the whole story with you, but we don't have that kind of time. Let's just say it is rough and you have to dig your way out of that kind of stuff. I've had lawyers come back to me and go, well, the law is not that interesting, Scott. I just file motions and I just settle cases. Are you kidding me? How many primetime television shows about law and order can you name? You just tell the story like they do. Hey, this person's, head got chopped off with a cheese grater. I don't know, but I'm just saying, whatever, I have a lawyer client. Any dispute that happens in the news is fodder for us and our story. It's really, really important for us to know that because then we can go in and we can make any story our story. We can be interesting and tap into the most interesting legal stories around. And then because we're the one curating the content and we're the one with the sales message at the end, we're telling the story in a really powerful way. I can make basket weaving interesting. To people who need baskets, how the basket is woven, I'm sure it has a story element to it that's somebody's going to care about. I'm not a real basket guy, I got to say, so I don't really know, but I probably could make it interesting if I had to. Being interesting, and this is really important, is about empathy for the audience. You cannot be interesting to me until you care enough to learn what interests me, all right? Now, and I know what you're thinking. Well, Scott, if I learn all those interesting things that are interesting to you, then I'm being creepy and I'm being invasive and that damages a relationship. It is a balancing act, folks. Google and Facebook have announced that at the end of June, they're going to stop sharing all this creepy information they've collected on us with advertisers. Will they actually stop sharing it or not? I don't know. I got a few friends that run paid companies. I'd be interested to see if they actually follow through with it or not. My sense is it's probably a press release to keep the California state government off their back with the CCPA now. The CCPA is a money grab by the by this California state government to go after some people with really deep pockets and get some of that money. Right. And they found something they were doing wrong and they passed a law about it. Honestly, you never should put yourself in a position where you would have to do that in the first place. But, and honestly, if you follow my rules, if you have empathy for the audience, if you say, look, let's assume they don't want to hear from us. Let's assume that their life is completely full, that they are going with a completely happy and full and an amazing life. And let's say that we didn't exist. Would they still be happy? Yeah. And probably happier, to be quite honest, because we're getting ready to invade them. So if we're going to invade their privacy, we better make damn sure that it's good enough to do so. We better make sure that it's so valuable for them, so incredible for them, solves their problems so much about something that they are interested in, that they will allow the privacy invasion to take place. Really, really important rules of how to be interesting. Well, folks, that's really it for me now. I was going to do a little bit of winning and losing, but I'm going to do that next week. I'll catch you next week for another riveting episode of May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. You guys have fun out there. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.